So my name's Emily Figdor. I'm the chair of the school board and the District 2 representative and the co-chair of this committee with Councillor Dion. So maybe I'm going to pass it to Mark for introductions, and maybe we can just pass it along.
Sure, absolutely. Also, I just want to make note that there are two folks that are in the participants that are the attendees that haven't been brought over. I don't know if that matters or not, but just to let you know.
We will bring them over. Actually, Jeff is the only one who we should bring over. Okay. Greg, can you bring Jeff over? Yep. Charlie, as much as we love Charlie, is not a member of the committee. He is the principal rep for
Reiki.
Reiki, yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, it's great to be with everyone. Dave, great to have you back. Hope you indeed stay live for the for the duration electronically, but
doing my best.
Okay, very good. So Mark Lee, architect Harriman. I'll pass it over to Lisa.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Salwin, also an architect with Harriman. Pass to Emily.
Good evening. I'm Emily Waugh, also with Harriman.
All right.
Who wants to take her?
Laura, we'll send it over to you next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aura Russell-Better, District 4 school board member. And I'll pass it to Ben.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ben Grant. I'm an at-large school board member, and that covers all the members. Pass it to Terry.
Hi, I'm Terry Young. I'm the executor director of operations for the Portland Public Schools. I don't know who hasn't gone. Sorry.
How about Tamara? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tamara Sweeney. I'm the assistant director of facilities for the Portland Public Schools.
Great. And then I think that just leaves us with Jeff.
Jeff Levine, I'm on the DAVC. I'm on a train right now, so I may be wandering in and out of signal, but I'll try.
Great.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. It looks like my co-chair, Councillor Dion, isn't able to make it tonight. I didn't hear from him prior to the meeting, but I know it's a particularly busy time of the year. So let's go ahead and get started. And we don't currently have a quorum in terms of our committee members. So I'm going to pause on our approval of the minutes, and we can see if more members join us. And if so, we can consider the minutes at the end of the meeting. So we can just get right into the agenda. Javier, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So the agenda today is, fairly packed. We're going to do the construction update, and consistent with what we talked about at the last meeting, we're going to go much deeper into the construction than just the progress that's been made. But we're going to particularly spend some time talking about how the different phases in each of the projects are coming together and what's next, and reflecting on what that means for the projects. We probably can skip the update on the owner's rep, since we had it when we introduced Dave, and for Abby and Jeff, who I think, Jeff, you may have, I don't know if you were over on the other side when we were introducing Dave. Dave is our new owner's rep project manager. And for those who remember, Dave was our project manager on the Lyseth project. So he's with us through the end of the three projects now. So that's really the item number 4 on the agenda. And then we're going to just update everyone on where we are with the contingency and any concerns that we might see with that. So just, consistent with what we talked about at the last meeting, trying to make these meetings more thorough and substantive, so that we are tapping into the expertise of this group and, leveraging you to communicate with your people that come to you with questions about the projects. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Harriman. I don't know if it's Mark or Lisa that are going to take the reins to do that.
I think we'll tag team again here, and as per the usual. As Superintendent Batana had already mentioned, the agenda is consists of construction update, phasing. We're going to get a little more information on that, and contingency update. So without further delay, so on Longfellow, the progress that's been going on is phase 4B, the kindergarten wing. That's been the focus right now, framing the new walls. And then that allows us to put what we call rough ins in place, so the boxes for electrical and plumbing that goes in the walls, and any wood blocking to attach things to the walls, and then preparing for new steel joists to be installed. So we'll see that in the next slides here. Phases 2B, 2C, and 2D, and that's really the new work in the additions. And so that's the 2-story elevator, or the elevator addition, the 2-story addition, and then so that is about pouring concrete walkway around the addition. We'll see an example of that. Prepping the masonry to begin on the addition. The floor slabs have been poured on the elevated floors, so that we have a metal deck on that second floor, and we pour the concrete on that. The elevator is on site. That's exciting. Finally, after many, many years of not having an elevator at Longfellow, we're getting that much closer. And then we had a steam line that was in the vicinity of the elevator. And so you'll see a picture of where we rerouted that steam line around the elevator, and prepping the roof installation at the, or roof insulation, I think it's supposed to be at the additions, but again, we'll see some pictures of that. Challenges, what we've done also with our construction updates is not just give you the update of what is going on, but where are we having any challenges that the contractor is facing, the questions that come up during construction. And so 2 of the kindergarten rooms have to be rotated due to some structural conditions and some rebar, and we don't know exactly where those are until the concrete is bare, so we have to remove the floor, and so we wouldn't have known exactly those constraints, and so we're finding those out now, and we'll rotate the bathroom locations. It shouldn't make a significant impact in the space. Same amount of space, just rotated. And see if I can get my cursor over here. So some of the updated construction photos, we see the administrative desk countertop, and that's in the corner by the entrance. And we also see it in the area. So you can see now the new security window that goes out to that vestibule by the main entrance, what we're calling the main entrance now, and then this workstation as well. So these 2 workstations are adjacent to one another. So that is there with direct visual connection to visitors coming in, and they have to be screened before they're let into the building. We, on the upper row again, classroom 101, classroom 102. Those were 2 classrooms that were, we talked about last time, were not ready to turn over at the beginning of the school. And so those are now set up, as you can see, with furniture in them. So they were waiting on flooring. The flooring is now in. The other picture of the reception desk on the upper right, again, the transaction window, or the, the observation window into the vestibule. So people coming into the front office are greeted in this area as well. So it's still being set up. The teacher's room is, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the second one from the left on the bottom. And so you can see some of the counters were and then where the hood or where the range goes, we have a hood up here. So it's a stove range hood that requires a fire suppression system. So that's when it says Ansel system, it's the fire suppression system that goes in that. And they also at the reception area of the office as a intercom, video intercom phone. And so that's installed, and it says panic button as well. So that's the trouble button if something's going on that is immediately pushed and initiates a bunch of actions, but it essentially calls public safety come as well. So, and then on the last one on the bottom to the right, you can see the elevator shaft. And at the bottom of it, we have created this area where the steam line will go around the foundation. So it's gets covered up, but essentially it's that one right there is where the interference of the steam line is going to go. And so we essentially brought it outside and around the elevator. And I'll stop for a moment for questions.
Any questions on this? If so,
Okay.
use your electronic hand because I cannot see everyone now. But I don't see anyone, Mark, so go ahead.
All right, great. With Reiki, the update is that on the phase 4, which is where we're working right now, we have some underground piping that's complete, and concrete cuts have been infilled with new concrete. So below slab work, we cut it open, we do the below slab work, and then we have to fill the concrete in again. We have remaining wall framing is being completed to allow for those utility rough-ins and inspections. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where we have plumbing and electrical mechanical items in the walls, and that gets installed. Those rough-ins get installed. The wall gets then wallboard gets put on, and so we're waiting for the inspection so the drywall can be completed. It's the wallboard that will be the finished wall surface. Challenges: the second floor contractor has not been showing up when the second flooring contractor has not been showing up when expected. So that's delayed things, and it says they're expecting to get the lobby ramp and stairs completed over Indigenous Peoples Workday, but only completed the lobby. So you'll see the pictures of the lobby flooring, and it seems to be one of the aspects of that contractors are constantly dealing with right now. That with tight labor markets and still a lot of construction work out there. Sometimes getting contractors to show up is a challenge. The painting sub was also supposed to do work over the long weekend, but had not been back since the end of that week. So another example. But last note here is they've since completed the flooring and painting in room 133, but are still waiting completion of the flooring at the ramp at the lobby. So. And the photos going at the top, this is the new entrance door, and some from Brackett Street. And so it comes in here, and there's the entrance to admin. And so the lobby comes down to a set of steps at this location in the ramp, and we'll see those in a minute. Room 133, as was mentioned, at this point right here, we're installing lights, and the ceiling grid is there, but the ceiling acoustic panels haven't been installed yet. So those are one of the last things to go in. But you can see the marker board, and you can see some of the tall storage cabinets on the counter over here. Additional whiteboards being installed. And as mentioned at the beginning, so standing in the lobby at this, looking the other direction, you see this, so the set of stairs that we're talking about right here, and then the ramp going down to the central space. This is the set of stairs that is on one edge of the open library volume. So you can see the stairs right here coming up to the landing right there. And so again, we've got the flooring in the main lobby, but we don't have it on the ramp in that lower area. Large monitors installed in the conference room in the admin area. So that's in place now. And then you can see the ramp right here is also shown right here. So that ramp comes down from that main lobby space, comes down, turns the corner, and comes down into that larger library area. And so, we're waiting for finishes to go on to the ramp. And then window treatments are also one of the last items to be installed. And so in the conference room, those window treatments are being shown right here. So it's a light filtering window shade. Okay.
Looks
Moving
like
on to-
Javier had a question.
Great,
Your hands up.
When is that inspection scheduled for phase 4?
I'm trying to see if that even had, it said it was, didn't say when, I guess. I was assuming it was going to be this week.
I think let me look at my notes. We were just talking about that today. I believe it happened.
And I guess more importantly, especially if it happened, what are the implications of that being inspected and ready to go?
So the inspection did happen. It was a week later than they wanted to be. They right now we haven't seen an implication per se, but it does cause them some concern as we go forward in the project that if that's the case, that the inspections are delayed a week, it may impact things. So we're looking at that closely with them. And I know that there was a question, Javier, that you had raised about trying to maybe turn things over a week early, and we have requested that of the contractor, and they are reviewing that at this time. Did that address your question?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Very good. Moving on to Brasupscot. Phases 1B and 1C, completing the brick installation at the rear addition and the front addition. So at phase 1 is largely the scope of work of the additions. And so, and we'll see some images of the brick more. I think the images are all going to be at the rear of the rear addition. But you can see it as you drive up to the front of the school, the improvements at the front as well. They're installing the windows in the addition, the rear addition. And then they're completing the interior finishes in the front lobby and front addition, the rooms in the front, the admin area. They're doing some fine grading at the rear addition in preparation for paving. So really getting close in that regard. Installing HVAC equipment and ductwork in the rear addition and front addition. Electrical rough-ins at the front and rear addition, drywall and taping in the rear addition, installing flooring at the front addition, and installing the rooftop HVAC at the front addition. So really progressing rapidly to the interior finishes of the space at the rear. Challenges, I think we mentioned some of these before as well. The skylight is delayed from the manufacturer, but essentially there's the ability to use the space will just mean that the installation of the skylight will go on afterwards. So we'll have a watertight cap over that opening, but we'll put the skylight on as soon as it comes in. And then the front entry vestibule will not be operational when the interior spaces are turned over. And I think we covered this with the BLAC, but I don't know, we covered it with the DABC. Essentially, there's they had trouble finding a precaster for some steps and some retaining walls, and so that means that the front grading won't be done. So when the tactile panel is the siding material that goes on the front of the building, that wouldn't necessarily hold up the usage of the door, but the grading and steps will hold up that. So that's the front area will be able to be turned over, but we won't be able to use the front door. So we're going to continue working with the school to use the side entrance.
Yes, Dave, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just two updates on this from yesterday. They were able to complete the paving, the base course paving on site. And again, as of yesterday, they have found a local precaster to make those stair side pieces for them. So those are moving along.
Right. Excellent. So as was noted, the finished grading is going along around the rear addition. So you can see the base of the building, and you can see where the new gravel has been brought in. And they're hanging drywall, so you can see the wallboard panels being screwed to the metal framing at the rear addition. The flooring is progressing in the front area, so this is where you come into that, what will be the enlarged new, or the existing lobby, but it'll be enlarged. And so you can see the flooring going down there. And then there are, it was observed, or someone made special note that they're protecting the finish walls from flooring prep. So sometimes when the contractor gets in there, one contractor may not be that concerned about a product that's already, or an area that's already finished. And so they're being very careful to protect it so that new work doesn't damage someone else's new work. The taping of drywall in the rear. So again, that as soon as they get those wall panels up, then taping can occur. And so that whole sequence of getting inspection of the rough ends in the wall allows them to move forward with the drywall panels, and then getting the final finish on the walls and getting them ready for paint. The last section of the on the front. So this is the addition where the new admin, the new entrance is to the left of what we're looking at here. But they're finishing up the last piece of masonry right there above on the top of the wall on that front addition. And you can see it, last section of the rear addition for masonry to be completed. So this little area right here. So I don't know, Dave, if they've already finished now and demobilized, or if they're, but awfully close.
Yesterday they were prepping for that last little section on the rear addition, because they were sort of remobilizing in that area after the paving, but there's just a little bit of masonry left in that vertical slot.
Great.
So that was probably done by noon today.
And what are those gray panels there?
Right here, Javier.
That's plastic.
Oh, right there. Those are window locations.
Oh.
Yeah. So what's really fun and exciting, in fact, you can see in this space right here, this is the kindergarten wing, and we have some areas where folks can view the world from smaller openings near the floor. So just fun, playful, and age appropriate. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa maybe to go through the phasing updates.
Excellent. So we're going to start on Longfellow. You can see the graphic here showing the different phases. Blaine Casey is working on an updated schedule and is currently reviewing it with their team. Apparently they were reviewing that after our meeting on Wednesday, and so we anticipate seeing that in the very, very near future. Harriman is working with Blaine Casey to see if phases 2B, 2C, and 2D can be turned over early to allow the contractor to take over the entire second floor at once and not have to separate construction. So this is a little bit different phasing than what we went forward with, but there's a lot of advantages if we can make this happen to where we can actually complete the project earlier. And so essentially they would finish the addition to 2C and 2B early to be able to then just have the construction up on the second floor. So the contractor's separate from the students. The students are on the lower 2 floors. It then allows us to remove the portables earlier and be able to pretty much come in and just do site work in the fall. We don't know if we can do that yet, but that is something that we are actively exploring because there's a lot of benefit to that. So that's really why we're trying to push to get that schedule from them and have them review that thoroughly to see if that's something that we can do. At the same time, look, go ahead, Javier.
Is it all 3 phases or just C and B?
It's 2B, 2C, and 2D. So all 3.
Okay. And all of those, to turn them over sooner means to turn them over when?
That's what we don't know yet. But we're anticipating that would be hopefully, I don't even want to put a date out there yet until we have the schedule, but earlier so that we can get those moved over. And we'd have to look at what that looks like for moving students and everything else and the impacts of that. The intent is to finish construction early and be able to remove the portables, like I said, from the summer of 2023. This would leave some site work in the fall of 2023, but the building work would be complete. Let's go to the next slide. Phase 4B, which is the kindergarten that we talked about in the photos, has been approved by the city and is on schedule for substantial completion by 12/23/22. And so Blaine Casey is clear that the work must be completely done and city inspections completed by that date so that staff can move back in over the holiday break because class resumes on 1/3. We're working with them on a backup plan if needed, knowing that is on a tighter window than we would like. And then phase 6B is still targeted for next summer, and that is flooring in the hallway and flooring in several of those locations and code work in 6B. Next slide. There you go. Updating remaining items in phase 4A, which is what was.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
Laura has her hand up. Laura, go ahead, please.
We just advanced a bunch of slides there, Mark. Go ahead, Laura. Or Aura, sorry.
Yeah, I was just curious, and this was from the last slide, I think, when you just mentioned about the building work versus site work and, just the plan of potentially being able to complete some of the, I forgot if you called it, what the work was called. That was the building, but the site work, could you just give a couple examples of what the site work is? I'm just curious, how disruptive that is for staff, the site work.
Yeah. So that site, the site work we're referring to mostly is the area where the portables are.
Oh.
And so the impact of that is you won't have that parking area back in the fall because they'll be working there to essentially remove those, restore that area back to its original condition. However, that work was intended to be sort of in that time frame, or actually later. The thing is if it pushed out to when it was supposed to be, which essentially you would need those portables through the fall, then those portables have to hang around even longer because now we're in winter and they can't be really removed into spring or summer of the following year.
Okay.
So essentially the contractor is trying to get out of the site early so that they don't have to hang around and wait to do that.
Thank you for just I didn't understand the site meant that site. So.
Yeah. Good question. All right. So phase 4A was the phase that we went through this summer. And so the things that were remaining last time we had connected an update on those items. And we saw a lot of this in the imagery that Mark presented. In the front office, the admin area, the AI phone and panic button is operational. And the new countertops are installed and work is completed there. There's a few maybe miscellaneous pieces of trim here and there that are still being what we call punched out in regards to we've indicated they aren't complete and the contractor's finishing those. Classroom 101 and 102 are complete. and their materials were moved back in on October 11th. And those are those 2 classrooms where the flooring was not complete and the casework wasn't complete. Installation of the hood in the teacher's room is anticipated to be completed on October 23rd. So that's a couple days here, and will be inspected and is expected to be available for use in a few weeks. As noted on the previous slide, Blaine Casey will like to combine the phases 2B, 2C, and 2D on the lower level to allow them to work on the entire second floor at once. And Blaine Casey would like to combine phases 5, 6A, and 6B and be able to complete all the abatement at once. And so essentially that means they would be taking over the second floor area of 5, 6A, and 6B. And a revised schedule is what they're working on right now. So we're anxious to get our hands on that so we can really be able to map out how this will work, and then what that looks like for turnover of spaces and what our windows are for that, and if we have any concerns there. I see, Javier, you have a question.
And if not, then they do one section and then the other section. So there's a temporary wall in between.
Yeah, there's separation between the contractors and the students.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on Longfellow before we move to Reiki? Okay. So Reiki, this is the first floor. So phase 4, which is the classroom, the blue classroom bar at the bottom of the page, is scheduled to be substantially complete on December 16th with final completion on January 6th, and classes resume on January 3rd. No delays are anticipated with meeting this schedule. We have asked that we've asked that they look at turning it over a week earlier. Hardy Pond provided a detailed schedule this week, and we are currently exploring with them if they can move substantial completion up to December 9th. And that really allows time to be able to have the school clean, do the cleaning they need, do the moving they need, and be able to have teachers back in their classrooms when school starts, ready to teach. So that's what's being explored at this time. Phase 6 is ongoing, targeting completion in summer of 2023. And the second flooring contractor had been expected to complete, as we talked about, the lobby and ramp and stairs on Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, but only completed the lobby. And the painting sub was also supposed to do work over that weekend, but had not been back since the end of that week. So they have since completed the flooring and painting in room 133, and the flooring contractor has not yet completed the ramp at the lobby. So having a little bit of trouble with some of the subs getting the work completed when anticipated, and we're working through that and staying on top of that with the contractor. But if anything else arises, we'll let folks know. Next slide. So now we've moved upstairs to the second floor. Phase 5 is in the same location as phase 4, just upstairs. So the bottom of the floor plan, that blue classroom bar that has the spaces there. Phase 5's completion date is June 16th and is not critical because it flows into the summer. Phase 6, which is essentially, if you can point that out, Mark, 'cause it's hard to describe where phase 6 is. And that area is critical to complete on time so kids can return in the fall of 2023. No problems are anticipated achieving this target. Hardy Pond may try to start art and music, which is phase 7 in the upper left corner, next summer, but are still reviewing that. And for them to be able to start that in the summer just means they can get a jump start on being able to get that completed on time, if not sooner. And then the roof work, so the plaza in between the community side and the school side. Update on that, we are investigating the solution for mitigating the water intrusion there. And we are doing some investigative work to make sure that we collectively understand what was physically built in that location, so then we can have a solution to prevent the water intrusion that happens there. They've cut one hole open through the top layer of the topping slab and found that the recent waterproofing was done with what's called blue skin, which is not the right material for that location. Essentially, that's like a building wrap you'd find on the outside walls of your building and not necessarily in this location. So it's the incorrect product. And the existing condition differs from what the drawings show. So we're looking to do another investigation to understand more. And with the weather we've been having, it's been challenging. So they're hoping to get that done next week, so we have a much clearer picture on how to resolve that area.
Can we pause for a second? I just wanted to see if there's questions, including Charlie Marangi, one of the lead teachers at Reiki, is an attendee on the call. So Charlie, if you have any questions, I want to give you the opportunity as well. And you can use your, I think I'm just going to go ahead and promote you to a panelist. It's a little bit easier that way. So if anyone has any questions, you can just speak outright or raise your hand. We're a small group.
I have a question, Lisa, which I totally understand if you can't answer yet, but I'm just wondering about whatever other materials there might be that really are the appropriate one instead of the blue skin. Like, is there any concern about ability to get that completed or cost of that, or is it really just you just don't know enough yet about?
Yeah, we don't quite know enough yet to know how we would what the appropriate solution will be going back in that location. It will be the cost of that will be something that will fall against the contingency. So as we understand that better, we'll update folks on what that solution is and what that impact may be.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. M, please go ahead.
Thanks, Emily. So yeah, just to reiterate, but also to add, it's critical for future phasing that the plaza roof issues are resolved, as they affect other things like the finishing of the OT room, and then the use of that roof to access phase 7. So to be fully transparent and just that everyone's on the same page, this has to be resolved in order for other phases not to be affected, and that work is ongoing. Interesting to see how things were resolved in the past, and let's resolve it now. We're renovating the building. Let's take care of it now. Thank you, Emily.
Those great points. Thank you, Charlie.
Yes, as I said, I think in the last couple of weeks, there's always been water at Reiki. Let's actually get it fixed. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Lisa. I think we can go ahead.
Excellent. So moving on to Presumpscot. Presumpscot is one level. So this is the plan for Presumpscot. And so update on some things that were in the process of being completed since it's probably the last time we met. So the staff toilets in phase 1A were completed about a week late due to the tectum deck. So those have been turned over. And then the corridor below the gymnasium, Mark, if you can point that out, thank you. The OT PT area, right there, yep. The social worker space and the storage. So those 3 rooms right along there are part of 1C, passed inspection by the city on 10/17 and have been turned back over to the school. So that provided those spaces to the school to use. And then also in phase 1C, which is the front addition, turnover of the front addition is slated for November 18th, 2022. Oops. Can you go back, Mark? Thank you. All interior spaces will be available for use at that time. The skylight will be drywall cap due to the delays of from the manufacturer, but all soffits and lightings will be installed and the lobby will be fully operational. That skylight, when it becomes available, contractors will do that installation over the weekend so it doesn't impact school. And then on the next slide, the front entry as part of 1C, and we talked about this a little bit in the update before, will not yet be operational with the interior spaces when the interior spaces are turned over on November 18th. And this is due to the ramp and the stairs on the exterior. That material, finding a precaster, we just found one, as Dave indicated. And then the tactile panel, which is the exterior panels, delays in that. They secured a precaster earlier this week, as we talked about, and are waiting for hard dates for that to be complete. But essentially, that front entry will be turned over with the back addition at this time, is our understanding. So the school is aware of that. We'll continue to use the side entrance until that time. And it just goes on to say that the tactile panels, the exterior material at the entry, will be set to ship at the end of the month. And the contractor expects to have both these items completed by the end of December, if not sooner. Next slides. Thank you. Phase 1B, which is the back addition, is scheduled to be completed. So contractually, it was scheduled to be completed January 11th, 2023. But the contractor feels they will be done ahead of schedule and they expect to be ready for code inspections on December 18th, 2022. So we are watching that very carefully to make sure that we understand whether they will be able to do that or not. And they're to provide us some updated information here in the coming weeks. The only potential delay that we are aware of at this time with not being able to meet that is a lead requirement to flush out the space. And so essentially that's full air exchange of the space. And there's certain parameters that we have to meet to do that. And there's different ways that we can do that. And we're looking at those different options and the duration that is required to achieve them. Some of them are, multiple days. Some of them are weeks. And so we're working through that right now with our sustainability consultant. This is not a prerequisite point, and we're looking at that too with our sustainability consultant to make sure this would have to be a critical point to get for us to be able to consider any additional days to be able to do that. So that's all being looked at very carefully from all those different avenues at this time, so we understand if there will be any impacts to the schedule. Any questions on Presumpscot?
Yeah, I see.
Can I just ask Lisa, since I don't really understand what the process of flushing the space is.
Yeah.
Like, what are the benefits of? I mean,
so essentially, it takes you have to move everything in. So you have all your furniture, all your items in there. The building is complete and essentially takes everything in there and it flushes the whole space out with certain air exchanges it's supposed to meet to be able to, the idea is if there is anything that is left over from construction, it is flushed out of the building before the occupants come in.
Any off-gassing or contaminants in that way, essentially by bringing lots of fresh air in will make the indoor air better.
okay, and so that would be, it's really the consideration of the time that might take if it was weeks, or I mean, would that have been an expected step? Like, was that expected that would have to happen?
That's part of that. It's whether the contractor fully accounted for it in their schedule, which is what we're working through with them right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just the site work at Presumpscot, when is that scheduled to be completed? Both the back, I know you guys said that they were doing the fine grading, the portables, all of that stuff. When is that being done? And then the front, when is that being sort of brought up to specs?
Yep. No, great question. And we'll have a better idea when they provide us an updated schedule on that. But obviously they can't complete that through the winter with the students just moving over then. So it would be in the spring, summer of 2023.
And is that true for the paving too?
They have a lot of the paving completed at this point. The final paving, I would anticipate, would be at that time as well once construction is complete. But we can follow up with better clarity on all of that, Javier.
I guess, do they get the playground area back, or is that just going to be until next year?
Again, I don't have a firm answer on that, but I'll follow up on that.
I can just add, Lisa, maybe you answered this, but I would just be curious about the paving and the side, like the entrance of the side where students used to walk in. Like, I wonder if that part is done for paving, if you that way to be able to see it. So
yeah,
so if that heavy traffic spot is finished, or if that's part of what needs to get.
Dave, you were out there recently. Did you see if that area was complete?
As I understand it, I didn't get to walk around the whole site yesterday, but they've completed the base course paving, I think, everywhere. So you can see what it looks like and where it is.
And that will cut down on the dirt that essentially is probably coming in the building right now.
Yeah. That's a huge step forward.
Did they mention when they would be doing final paving, Dave?
They probably did, but I didn't retain it because I think it's probably going to be spring.
Yeah.
It would probably be good to have a slide added on site work for the BLAC meeting next week. Just have an additional slide.
We can definitely do that. We'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I just want to add to follow up on a lot of Lisa's commentary. We're stressing with all three contractors the need for them to develop two crystal clear plans. Their detailed plan for turnover for the immediate areas that are coming up, and also a backup plan. If something happens, like they can't get an inspection by a certain day, we're stressing with them to have dates and a backup plan. And they're all sensitive to that, and they know they're working on it. And we're all anxiously awaiting their schedules and commitments to dates.
Good. We've already had the update on the owner's rep, unless, Dave, you have anything else to add?
No, just quick, for those who don't know me, I'm an architect. I've worked most of my career has been as either construction administrator or owner's representative on several dozen publicly funded K through 12 educational projects. So this has been my career focus. And I was the owner's representative / owner's project manager, if you will, on the LISIF school project. And I'm delighted to be back to bring these three to completion.
And we're glad to have you back, Dave.
And I've learned a lot tonight, too, from the presentation.
Excellent. As we've now started doing, we'll provide an update on the contingency as it progresses monthly here. And so the original, again, starting at Longfellow, the original project contingency funds were the $554,000. The adjustment we made was to bring it to 961. To date, we've spent 473. So that's the updated amounts for expended to the contractor and change orders. And so right now we're looking at $487,000 as the remaining contingency for Longfellow. For Reiki, we originally had 584. We transferred 178 over to Longfellow. And so our revised contingency was 405,000. We've spent 112,000 to date, and so right now our balance is 293,000. Again, what we've talked about earlier too is that the roof repair will have to be covered through the contingency funds. The Presumpscot right now, after the adjustment, we're at 501,000. And at the end of September, we had expended 206,000 of that, leaving us with a balance of 295,000. So that just gives you an update on where all three of the contingency budget line items are. There are, just kind of every month, there will be a drawdown on this that kind of captures everything that's been formalized or finalized. There are still items that have been encountered and the contractor's been already approved to move forward on, but those get all bundled and captured at the end of the month. So this is the official number.
Can you just, I think it's important for everyone for the sake of transparency and also just to understand, the implications for contingency, give a range for what the potential costs of the roof repairs are.
Yeah, I think the last time we were coming up with, figures and I'm trying to think. I don't have the math in front of me, so I don't want to misspeak. Lisa, do you remember what the estimated, just real ballpark order of magnitude?
I think it's probably close to 80 to 100.
I think that's what we may have said. Yeah.
And I think it's just important for everybody to understand that it's within the existing contingency. So I think that's my main purpose for wanting to highlight that.
Thank you, Javier. Yes, very critical. All right. Mark, did you have anything else?
Yeah, just real quickly. Next steps here, we've got November 17th, next week, our BLAC meeting. And we'll bring them up to speed on a lot of the information. And then we also have November 17th, which is the next time that we all meet. So, and we look forward to bringing everyone up to speed on what's happened in the last month or the next month here. And we should have a lot more definition on the schedule and some of these aspects that we're trying to nail down in anticipation of this sort of critical time frame of the December phases and when they are completed. So that is what we have tonight here. I'll stop sharing.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you, Lisa. Are there any other questions? We don't have a quorum in terms of our committee members, so I'm going to skip reviewing the minutes from our last month's meeting, and hopefully we can do that at our November meeting. Any questions?
I wanted to thank Lisa and Mark and Dave, Tamara, our team, all together for just, the deeper level of detail. I think that we committed to doing that after the start of the school year. And I think this is super helpful, and I appreciate the work that goes into doing that. But I also think that it adds significant amount of transparency and deeper understanding of where we are with the projects, which, again, people know that I'm not the most optimistic person. I just feel like we're actually, making incredible progress. And, that is something that we need to celebrate. And so I think this level of detail, even though, it's with, the specifics and some of the challenges associated with it, I think it's also helpful to sort of help us see the light at the end of the tunnel. So.
Absolutely. I know I appreciated hearing the challenges and understanding that there's, challenges, so many challenges. Some of the challenges this committee has dealt with itself, but a lot that we haven't been as aware of. So really appreciate that additional detail. So we're understanding more. We have a better picture of how the projects are unfolding. All right. If there isn't anything else, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and our next meeting is on November 17th at 6 p.m.
Bye,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Awesome.